Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
Hello.
Just as Matt and I were preparing, we realized we may have a rainstorm in the middle of the webinar today.
Mm,
So if you see some craziness behind me, that would be why. Just as a quick introduction to myself and to Matt here, I'm Erin, COO and co founder, and I have Matt with me here today again. He's our senior tech support specialist, and he's going to do a lot of explaining how our rules work and how to set them up today. And we're excited to see so many familiar faces today, or familiar names, I guess, today with us. We're really excited to talk about rules. Matt has been advocating a lot recently about the importance of using rules in the setup of new businesses and trying to get more knowledge into the hands of our users, and so this is kind of one of his soapboxes, and so I'm excited to go through this topic with him today, and make sure that you guys are aware of this feature that we have that we think is pretty underutilized. So just as a quick agenda today, we're going to talk through how we define a rule and just some common use cases. If there's anything that you have questions about as we're going through this, like from now until we get to the Q&A time, please add them in the chat because I do want to make sure that we go over them. But we will talk about some like common use cases just to kind of get you thinking about how you might use rules for your own business. We kind of have two different rule types, so I'll just walk through that really quickly. And then we will go through common rules to run and help you with understanding how to set them up. Because some of the reason why they don't get used, or at least why we think they don't get used, is simply because it's a little bit more complex than just a one click or a drag and drop or something like that. There's a little bit more to it. So we kind of want to walk through just some common rules that you might want to set up for your business. Then we'll get to the Q&A time. So first thing that we're going to go through then is, Jess, I didn't realize I made a slide for this. So yes, if you do have any questions that come to mind, please make sure that you add them to the chat, specifically if you have a specific type of rule or a specific action that you want to take on your account as we go through this. Maybe, it makes you think of something that you would love to do for your own business. Please add them and we will get to them at the end. So let's just start here with what is a rule. So I created this working definition. Rules are specific business-specific tasks that further automate your listing processes. So kind of the way to think of it is, you came to Listing Mirror because, or maybe you're considering Listing Mirror in either case, because there are processes that you want to automate. You have recognized that there are certain tasks that don't need to be done by a human because it's just literally mapping a field to another field or increasing the price by a certain percentage or dollar value, things like that are the same regardless of whether or not there's no judgment there, right? It's just a process that needs to happen. So the kind of the thing that you want to focus on here is we're going to give you some examples of how you might set up rules, but really they will be most useful to your business if you figure out ways to use them creatively for your business to further automate the things that you want to be doing with your listing processes. So just a couple of examples of just to kind of get your mind thinking about how could we use rules. These are just some examples I came up with. It's not an extensive list, but maybe you want to run a sale on a product line. So you could set a price reduction to run on a certain, set of SKUs or something like that. So that would be an option. You can append your brand name to your listing titles. Say you have your own like white label product and you want to add your brand name to all of them, for instance, all at once. Maybe there was a business decision that was made and you just need to add that brand name to your titles. Or if you need to add a new shipping method to listings in bulk. So these are just some ways that you can be thinking about what you might do with rules in order to create them. The last thing I'll go over, and then I'll hand it over to Matt, is just the one-time use versus the automation. So rules can be used to automate tedious operations or be used for a single one-time task. So an example of this would be like the appending a brand name to your title. Like that's just something that's just going to be done once. It maybe is going to be done at just setting up your account. It's not something you're going to do continually, versus maybe something more like running a price rule. That needs to happen every single time that a price change happens, right? So you always want to reduce the price by 15%, or you always, want to add $2 or whatever that looks like. So there are certain triggers that will prompt a rule to run. So creating a listing and importing a price from Amazon. So those are two examples of triggers. Is there anything else, Matt, or are those really like?
I think those are the only two. Like when you create a listing,
that's
and
what I'm
then
thinking
importing price from Amazon for certain things.
Yeah, but as with everything at Listing Mirror, if there's something that you have in mind, like, hey, I really want to automate this action, is it possible to do that with rules? And it kind of falls outside of these lines. You can always ask us, because software is a wild thing and there's lots of things that we can do with it. So there may be options for things that you can do with rules that we wouldn't have thought of, because this is your business and you know it best. So yeah, I think that is, that's all I've got. And I'm going to hand it over to Matt. We're going to kind of do a little bit of screen share swapping between these slides. So he's going to start off talking about pricing rules. And I wish we could share both of our screens at the same time. But anyway. Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm good. We can't see. I think my screen is not being shared anymore. So you're good to add yours. Yep.
Alrighty. Thanks, Aaron. So I'm going to go over the pricing rules. So we have two different rules or two different kinds of rules for pricing. One is a increase price fixed, and the other one is an increase price percentage. So you can either increase or decrease your price by a fixed amount or by a percentage. Just some options there, and I will show you how to do so. So after clicking listing at the top and going to listing rules, that will take you to this page right here. You'll see each of your integrations, and you can create rules based on each integration. So it's not just one rule affects all integrations. You have them per integration. So I'll just do this for eBay for right now. So what we're looking to do is just increase price by $10, per instance, in this case. So at the top, title, you can name it whatever you want. Let's call it default. The filter type. So this is when is the rule going to be used? For the majority of cases, usually most people do always, but there are abilities where you can filter. So, for example, if you're like, if I want to have all of my, let's see, SKUs that have the word Nike in the title, this is the rule that I want to work for those specifically. So, when field equals, well, no, let's see. Not when field equals, when field contains. Field name, I'm looking at title, right down here. Oh, how is I'm usually zoomed out. Let me zoom a little in. I tend to be zoomed out pretty far in my own personal work, so I will zoom in to make this more easily seen. So the filter field name, we'll go for title. So filter value. So this is what we are looking for in the title. In this case, I want to look for all of my listings that have Nike in the title. And then rule action, you'll see the increase price fixed and increase price percent. I'll do a fixed one since it's just a general increase of $10. The field name, so you still need to specify the name, the price field. If you were to select one of these like EAN and did this, it wouldn't do anything. So you got to specifically find price in here, bam, and then 10. Then we save that, and that is a rule that will increase the listings with Nike in the title by a flat 10, whether that's US, Canadian, however, it'll just increase the amount by 10. And let's say we want to do one for percentages. So let's say we want to increase our prices just always for eBay by 10%. Let's do that. So always, because we always want this rule to be affected, increase price percent, because that's the rule action we are going for. Field name, this is the field we are targeting with the action here. And then the field value, what are we doing right there? If we want to increase by 20%, you can think of the field value as what number will Listmeer multiply the price by. So in this case, 20% is 1.2. 10 times 1.2 is 12, which is a 20% increase. You would save that, and bam, that's the rule created. Now, something to note for pricing rules. It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is, like we mentioned earlier, just to run a sale, so like for example, like this one right here, like, just take all of my ones with Nike and increase the, well, I guess this would be an increase. It wouldn't be, the same as a sale, but say like decreasing by 10. You would run the rule, you'd click run, and then you would delete it. Leaving pricing rules and like clicking run multiple times will apply the effect multiple times. So if I click this 3 times, it's going to increase all of my listings with Nike in the title by a flat 10, or by 30, I guess, in total. So super important to not just keep clicking them, run over and over again. Even if it looks like it's not working, you're like, did it work? Let me click run again. You definitely don't. If it doesn't look like it's working, just hit us up, and there's probably a reason, or somewhat. There's always a reason.
If you're someone that likes to double click, make sure you don't accidentally double click.
Definitely not with price rules. That can be a big goof. But one of the biggest aspects with pricing rules, in my opinion, is the ability to combine it with our Listmeer's ability to import Amazon prices and to sync those Amazon prices out to other marketplaces. What we have a lot of our clients doing is they will, in their Amazon Seller Central, they will change their prices manually or by repricer, however that happens, in Seller Central. Listmeer will import those Amazon prices. We will push them over to eBay, and then in this instance, these pricing rules run on top of that. So if I were to leave both in for this instance, multiple rules can apply to a listing. So in this case, and it will apply in the order that it is sorted here. So in this one's going to run first. It's going to do a flat increase of 10 to all Nike listings, and then to follow, all eBay listings are going to get a flat 20% increase. So if you were on Amazon, say change SKU ABC to $10, Listmeer imports that price of $10 for SKU ABC. We send it off to eBay for $10, but then the pricing rule intercepts and increases it by 20% here. Assuming it's not a Nike listing in this instance. In my opinion, that's like the best use of our rules for pricing wise. Like a client has a reprice on Amazon, it's constantly changing prices. Listmeer is constantly importing those changes. We import and then we'll sync it to the marketplaces, adjusting the price based on your pricing rule preferences, whether that's increasing or decreasing, based on your business's needs. And I think for pricing, that covers that. I think that's pretty standard. So we'll go to shipping next. I can't.
Hang on, I'm just gonna run through. Okay, so that was the slide, was the pricing rules. Yeah, and you know what I'm gonna do too, and actually I can get this up. I'm gonna put up a handout of this.
The slide.
Of the slide deck. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of really good information in here that I don't want you guys to miss, and then you can go back over and review it as well. So, but having said that, we're going to move on to shipping now.
Yeah. So shipping, less used in my opinion, just because at this point, a lot of the shipping for each marketplaces is set up directly on those marketplaces. But you could still use Listmeer for certain examples. For instance, eBay. So eBay by default has business policies that you can take advantage of. You would create a shipping profile, a payment profile, and a return profile. In eBay, Listmeer imports those. You can go on the integration level and set them. I guess I can show it real quick while I'm discussing it.
Sure.
Oh, am I still sharing my screen? Yeah.
No, it only shares one at a time.
That's right. That was the limitation we had. But anyway, so for an eBay integration, you can set your default profile. So whenever you create a new listing, Listmeer will use these profiles to set it to. But like, what if you have a wide variety of items, and some are really heavy, and you want to use a different shipping method? So in this case, the shipping rules rules can be useful, as in, so like you can base on a shipping weight. So like when shipping weight is greater than 10 pounds, set this profile ID to those listings. So when you create a new listing, as that is one of the triggers for triggering rules to run automatically. When you create the eBay listing and the weight is over 10 pounds, you'll have that profile assigned automatically. It is very useful because I find, because the other option is manually assigning it's downloading a bulk edit template, getting the ID numbers, and kind of inserting them for the SKUs that you'd like. It's not hard. It's a little tedious though, and a rule can make that much easier to manage, in my opinion. And I think that's one of the bigger ones for shipping rules. The other marketplaces, hit or miss. I guess the same basic concept can be applied for like Walmart shipping templates and whatnot. Like if you want templates to affect different listings based on like what's in the title or the price of the listing or the weight, we can filter by those, which makes it very flexible, in my opinion. And I think that pretty much covers shipping. So we want to move on to the next one, the categories for web stores. So as some of you may know, if you sell, if you have your own web store and you use the marketplaces like Shopify or BigCommerce, they don't have a standardized set of, here's all of our categories, here are the IDs associated with them. Like eBay and Walmart, they have those. Like these are our categories, these are the ID numbers you're going to use. Shopify and BigCommerce are way more flexible. You create your own categories, and so thus category mapping, which is one of our features, which says, hey, if this category on this is A on Amazon, make it B on eBay, that kind of thing. That category mapping does not work for Shopify and BigCommerce because it's not standardized. Who knows what your categories are named after and what their ID number associated with is. So in cases with Shopify and BigCommerce, which it does require a category to be assigned, instead of assigning post creation, where you're going downloading a template and assigning the categories, or going to the UI and manually doing it, you can use a rule to just, like for instance, like filtering, like it's so useful. Like when when Nike's in the title, use this set ID to this, or like when shoe is in the title, when shirt is in the title, or the description or the price or whatever field you can think of, whatever makes sense for you based on how you organize your business. Like if you have your SKU naming system, like if all t-shirts have t-shirt in the SKU itself, you can base like, hey, if SKU contains t-shirt, assign this category, the t-shirt category as is. And that is pretty useful because I find otherwise because the listings require a category, so when you create them, you're going to need to assign a category regardless. A rule will let you just automate that process so you don't have to think about it as much. It's like the initial setup is a little difficult, but it saves headaches in the long run, which in my opinion, I'm always a big fan of. I like doing the work up front, and then so I can not have to think about it later. I don't like thinking. And I think that covers that. It's a pretty quick and dirty topic, but I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think that's good. Now we've got the sun shining, so who knows what's going on here.
It's all over the place.
So, one thought that I had while you were talking, and like I said, we don't have any questions in the chat yet, and we are close to the end of our content. So if there's anything that you can think of in relation to rules that you could use our help with, or anything that you would like us to show you or run through with you, we'd be happy to do that. But while you were talking, Matt, I was thinking about how useful this could be for someone who is using Listing Mirror as an employee of a company, not necessarily the business owner. So if you are in that position and listening to our webinar today, this would be a really great way for you to kind of automate some of the tasks that your boss is giving you. So they're saying, make sure that all of our listings are ending up in this Shopify category, or we need to run a sale on this. Those are great things to be able to tell your boss, like, hey, yes, we can do this with Listing Mirror. And it also allows you to be able to advocate for more automation in your processes at work in general, just for you to be able to say to them, like, hey, did you know that we can run a sale really easily doing this? Or did you know that we can really easily upload a whole bunch of more products this week because I know how to do it really quickly now because Listing Mirror gives me these capabilities. So use those things to your advantage. And we would love to answer any one-off questions that you have by chat as well, or sorry, by chat, yes, but also by email after the case, after we finish the webinar too. Okay, we have a message here. Question: can you use a rule to map brand from the product catalog to brand/manufacturer on listings?
So you could not. So one of the limitations of rules is since the rules are integration based, they're confined to that integration. So you can't use like a rule for eBay and base it like on data from the product catalog or from like Amazon or like the Shopify listing, even if they're connected in Listing Bear to the same product. Since the rules are just squeezed into the integration, and they can't really talk between each other.
Yeah. Another question that came up is any way to automatically create eBay listings once an Amazon listing was imported with the
So
quantity?
rules cannot be used to create new listings. They just used to manipulate the data of existing listings or newly created ones. They do have to exist for sure. Cannot be used to create new ones.
Mm-hmm. But if you, so one reason that we don't advertise the option to automatically create listings when new listings come in, we do have that capability. But a reason why we kind of stopped talking about it as much is because what we found is that then what happened is we ended up with a bunch of accounts with listings that had errors on them or were incomplete because they were missing some data.
Yeah.
So if you do want to automatically create eBay listings once, as soon as you've added that listing to Amazon, we do have that functionality. What we would want to do is have an individual conversation just by email, just to understand your specific use case and also for you to kind of confirm that you understand kind of what goes into it and what you would kind of undertake by adding that, simply because it can add more hassle than you might think, just because there are oftentimes things that you want to do to your listings to get them live. And otherwise, if we're just automatically creating listings, we're not actually getting them live to the marketplace because you still need to come into Listing Mirror. So automating that wasn't as useful as we wanted it to be. So that's why we don't advertise it as much. But
Yeah.
we'd be happy to work with you by email on that if you want to do that. Okay. You know what? Let's pause right here because we do have one more rule type to go over. So, and that's missing listing data.
Yes.
So let's run through this, and then we'll come back to questions. But if you have more, please keep writing them out.
Yep. So missing listing data. So there are. This is a little more use case. Like I've helped out with a few clients with like when they imported their listings, they didn't have descriptions in them. The listings just had title. A pretty generic title, which would work for a description. And in this case, they just wanted their title to be copy and pasted to their description. So instead of like going through the UI and doing it SKU by SKU or download a template and going that route, they decided to use a rule. So what we did was we used a rule to copy the title field and paste it into the description field. This would, and once kept up and running, it would do it for every listing. So if a listing ever came in without a description, the rule would run and it would copy title into description because you can filter like when description is blank, run this rule. So, if they had a proper description set up, the rule wouldn't just wipe it out and go, nah, just use the title instead. So it would only use it when the description was blank. Some, and that's hit or miss. Some clients want a very detailed, description that comes from the heart, if you will. They're really lay home the point of like what the product is. But others, they're not super oriented on the specifics, so they just they need something, because when you create a listing, description is needed. So they would just copy the title into the description. Or
and a case where that could be useful is if you're importing Amazon listings, but some of those Amazon listings are very simple and they don't have the description filled out. That's why we would end up with a blank description. So obviously it wouldn't be so much. Yeah, it wouldn't be so much like we missed something as much as the Amazon listing that you listed on did not have a description. So there was nothing for us to work with. So, we need that data to create an eBay listing. So it's basically giving us that data so that we have something to put into that field for you.
Yep, or like shipping weights or MPNs. A lot of people use like manufacturer part number. They usually just have it as the SKU. So they'll take the SKU, just copy it into MPM. It's another example. Or shipping weight. Like I sell a bunch of T-shirts, they all weigh the same. Just create a rule, set T-shirt to 1 pound, whatever whatever T-shirt may weigh.
Mhm.
And then another good use of it is filling out category specific fields for eBay. eBay has fields that are specific to each category, as the name implies. So they're not always, and those fields are not always pulled from the product listing. The product listing only has so many fields, and there are certain fields on eBay, especially ones that are specific to categories, that are just very specific, and so they don't really exist anywhere else. Amazon doesn't have them. We have nowhere to pull them from, so they're going to be blank, but eBay will require them, so it's going to toss up an error. You can use like a listing rule. In fact, there is a specific action set category specific field that you'll want to use, because if you try set field, not going to work. Set field is very specific to the market parent, the parent and parent and child listing fields. So it's not gonna, if you'd like try to use that rule action to set category specific fields, it will not work. But the rule action, which we added later, like a year ago or something like that, it will do that. And so like there are things like color and size and type are some pretty classic category specific fields that will almost certainly be blank for the most part, but you can use rules to kind of clean them up and fit them in bulk. You can either use it as a one-time rule, like create the rule, like you have about like 50 SKUs that are missing, type for this eBay listing. And you know that the type's going to be the same for all, because it's all basically the same product, just certain variations of them. So you can use a rule to just set the field once, create it, run it, delete it, done. Errors fixed. You don't have to go through a bunch of data sheets to edit out the information or directly through the UI. And it's just done with the rule. A couple clicks, filling out some fields. It's very nice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Part of the
yeah,
manual
agreed.
editing.
So, and just to, yeah, right. And just to clarify too, like this is, we can't automate this information because we don't know when we go to create the eBay listing, we don't have anything that's telling us what the category specific fields will be when the listing is created, because we haven't created the listing and there's no category assigned to it quite yet. So we don't have a way of determining that. So that's part of why we don't have this data. So I think it's always helpful to kind of understand what's going on behind the scenes, to understand that it's not like an oversight of the software or something that we should be doing better. It's just simply a limitation of the way that multi-channel works. Yeah. And so we do our best to provide you with all of the tools that we can. So for the category specific fields, for instance, that you mentioned the size and the colors. So usually those are already listed in the variation values. So is that what you map? You map the variation value to the category specific field?
Yeah, in some of those instances, yes. But those are just examples off the top of my head. Sometimes it's a very weird,
yeah, I know. I'm
country
trying
of
to
origin
think.
field, and it's like, that doesn't exist anywhere. Not in the Amazon list.
Right. So, but something like that, it's pretty simple, because you're going to apply it to all of your listings or that whole category or whatever it is. So
yeah, most certainly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for talking through those. And sorry I missed your last slide there, Matt.
Oh no, good. Got it all.
Okay, so let's get back to the last question that's here, but please ask more. We do still have a little bit of time here. The next question I see is, I have noted that when editing a listing, in order to have it updated across all channels, I have to go to each channel and update the information, the image, etc. Is this correct, or may a rule help? So I think thanks for the question. I think it's a great question. I think some of this comes with understanding how to best use the software. So our intention is for you to be able to edit things more in bulk using the product information rather than going from listing to listing, especially if that information is going to be the same across more than one channel. So for instance, if you have, say we imported a bunch of listings and you want to update, so this is a new account, so we imported all of your listings. The flow of data is such that we take your Amazon listing data, we move it to the product. So that is the first data that hits the product catalog. So that is what sets a lot of the data that belongs to the product catalog. After that, we will go and we will look for other marketplaces that may have additional data that adds to what we have from the Amazon listing. So that is the most typical workflow for your product catalog. But that could mean that the product catalog data looks a little bit different than what you may have live on your eBay listing or on your Shopify listing, etc. If you want it to match what you have on the Amazon listing, or in this case, what's in the product catalog, what you would do is you would copy the data by clicking some buttons inside of the product page, and that would push it over to your eBay listing, to your Shopify listing, etc. If there are fields or images that you need to have that will be different from different marketplaces, what we would have to do in order to create a rule. So images, I don't think there's anything that we can do with images to create rules.
Not really.
I don't think so. No. But if there are marketplace specific things that you are wondering if you can automate, and they need to be specific to that marketplace and different than other marketplaces, it is possible that a rule could help. But I think mostly what you're talking about would be related to using the information that's in the product catalog and pushing it.
For sure. Vivian, if that doesn't make any sense, feel free to write into us and we can help you out. But yeah, like that's the point of the product catalog, the product listing is like you make the change there and it goes out to all the marketplaces. It's a little more complicated than that, but I mean that's essentially what it is, and that sounds like what you want. So if what we just said makes no sense, definitely write into us and we'll help you out.
Yeah. And one thing that is helpful when you're writing in is to kind of give us some specifics. So if you can give us an example of what information you're trying to change and which marketplaces you're trying to change it on, give us a SKU, something like that to kind of help us, give us an idea of what we're working with. And then that also helps us when we're explaining things to you. Okay, let's see here. From Arthur, we have, can you make an example? We have a situation with eBay category type is missing.
Classic type.
Yep. Do you want to, maybe can you just show that on your screen, Matt?
Let's see. Okay. Boom, boom, window, bam, that one. All right. So yeah, if you are wanting to do the category specific field type, what that would look like. So go under eBay, create, name it whatever you feel like. Doesn't matter. You could do always category specific field name. Type. So this is the action I was talking about earlier, the set category specific field. It's different than set field. Set field specifically the market listings. This is the category specific ones. So set category specific field type, and then whatever value that you want to set there. You would click save. Bam. And then at this point you can click run, and it's going to affect all of your listings, and it will set type to value, whatever you set. I think we can, yes, that's probably what you want to do instead. Just kind of altering this rule slightly to make more sense. So instead of, because if I did not filter it out and I just said always and you ran that rule, it's going to take every eBay listing that has the type field and category specifics, it's just going to write whatever you do here. In this case, it put value in it. So I think in this case, when it's empty and you're wanting to fill it, you do the filter type, category specific field empty, type, and then you could do this. So then, so when that field is blank, we'll fill it in rather than just like clobbering it and just, smacking all your listings at once. I like the finesse approach. Though, they each have their bonuses. But yeah, in my opinion, that's how that would be best done.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe you said this and I missed it because I'm working on trying to get this uploaded here, this PDF for you guys. But Matt, does the name of the category specific, is it case sensitive when you put that name in? Do you happen to know? Because that's just a blank field, right? You have to fill it out.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yes, correct. Yeah, like the field you're associating with. I
Okay.
I think it's case sensitive.
I think it is too. What I would say would be the best course of action would be to have 2 tabs open, just copy the field
Yeah.
name, you know, exactly, and just paste it right in here so that you make sure that there's no typos, because that would be something that would prevent it from
Yeah,
running.
definitely. And if it doesn't work, just let us know. Maybe there's some like, because sometimes like it could be, like in like what is it? Country of origin. So I know that is one of the category specifics. I think it's for Walmart. Now that I think about it, country of origin. It could be like this, or it might have the old underscore in between each two. Not necessarily always a set way. Usually it's one word, not camels, not camel capped. I think camel casing. I think it's called. I think it's usually just as is. So like if it's TYPE, capital T, yeah, just copy and paste that. It should be good.
So Arthur is asking a follow-up question here. So if we have an earring, bracelet, etc., how will it know what to input? And I guess that's maybe the shortcoming here is you would have to select one type that you're inputting.
Yeah.
I think you probably, I mean, Matt, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. Could he specify like for for something that has the word earring in the
Right.
title,
Yeah.
then that category specific type?
Yeah, so it's all
blah, blah, blah.
it's all kind of based on how you set up your listings, Arthur, or where they came from. So like if all your earring listings have earring in the title, then you could filter that out. What that would look like, click edit. So in this case, when the title has earrings, so we'll look when field contains, the field we're looking at is title. What it contains, earring. So in this case,
and just so it's clear to our audience too, there are very long drop downs, like for the filter type, the field name, but you can't see it. So when you look on your page, you will see a super long list of all different types of filters, but you just aren't seeing them here, but they do exist. So
right.
Yes.
So so it all depends on how you organize your listings. Like if each of the listings like has earring or bracelet, in the title, and that's how you can determine, use the title to filter. If you gave all of your bracelets a specific kind of SKU, like they all start with BR or something, or earrings all start with ER, you could use that and filter based on the SKU and what's contained in there. A lot of it is, and so like that's why it's always been hard to write documentation on it, because it's specific to what your needs are and how your listings are organized. It tends to be like on a per client basis when we're working out rules and what makes most sense.
Right.
But that should accomplish what you're looking. And if you always have trouble and you just can't figure it out, just hit us up, man. We'll help you out. It's no big. It's like we're just chilling here anyway. Might as well help you out.
That is what we're here for.
It's like what we're
absolutely. Here for. Okay, I'm not seeing any more rule questions come through, so we're going to answer this question that we have here. So a bit irrelevant for this topic, so only if you have time, which I think that we do. Is there a way to import a listing from Walmart, same as we do from Amazon, asking because Walmart is becoming a major source for some of our products? Could you just walk through that, Matt?
So it depends on what exactly you mean by same as we do from Amazon, as in automatically every like 2 hours and you can not edit it? No. But we do have the ability to import Walmart listings. The caveat is they will be uneditable in Listingmare. So we'll import the Walmart listing. We'll grab some basic data like an image, some title, price, some bullet points, stuff like that. But it's very basic, and it won't be editable in Listingmare. Like we'll get the data in, and cool, we got the Walmart SKU, we got the Walmart UPC. We'll sync inventory out to that Walmart listing. But if you want to like change the title or change the Walmart image, you got to log into Walmart and change the data there. And there's not a great way to specify like when you're in Listingmare, like show me all my uneditable Walmart listings or show me all my editable Walmart listings. Like not a great way to like differentiate.
So he just clarified he's actually talking about the option to do more like an untracked listing, like a product that he wants to sell on
that
eBay.
We do not have the option for, but we can always talk to the product team and see what they think.
Yeah, I would say like for now, the workaround would be seeing what the product is. It's probably being sold on Amazon. So you probably could find the same product data that you want to
Yeah.
sell on eBay. And then internally just, oh, got it. It's a Walmart exclusive product.
Crap
So
baskets.
no, we don't have this.
Yeah, no.
But
Yeah.
we most of the time Lindy is on our webinars, and Lindy is who handles all of our product updates. So I'm sure that she's grabbing notes on this. If not, I will make sure that this gets to her, because that's a really interesting idea and something that we hadn't considered
Totally.
before. So
Yeah, it's never really been brought up before, but yeah, I mean, that in theory, it's possible.
last question.
Totally.
Can I write a rule to auto assign my tickets to
If
Matt?
only.
Yeah,
no,
right.
No such high tech like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Reflector that we use for Listing Mirror and Zendesk that we use for our support, they don't talk to each other. So that is actually not possible. But that doesn't mean that that Matt won't be helping you. So we have, right now we have Christina, Raven, and Matt who work on our tickets. So, the chances of you getting Matt are pretty high.
Yeah. And even if I'm not like directly worth the ticket, like, I'm always here for reference. So
yeah, absolutely. And yes, that's the other thing is our team is always working together. So, a lot of times he's working behind the scenes on your tickets.
Yeah, even if I'm not directly
so his
answering them.
is involved.
Totally.
Yes. As well as mine, and
All
basically anybody who has the ability to pitch in, because you guys are the reason that we exist. So we want to make sure that we're giving you good assistance. But I appreciate the, Lindy says the rule to assign tickets to Matt will also be entered as a high priority.
Yeah, thanks, Lindy.
request.
Super appreciate it.
Answer in 10 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Just send them straight to my send them straight to my personal phone. Just text me, it's fine.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just text you. All right, so I'm going to switch back over to my screen. And okay. So we have made it through our questions, and thank you so much for asking so many great questions. These webinars are way more useful when you are interacting with us, and we really appreciate it. So moving right along to just kind of like some announcements / just good information for you to know. If you haven't attended another webinar in the past, you may not know what we can do and want to do for you. So part of my role is to make sure that I'm putting tools into your hands in order to best use the software. And I do that through a few different ways, through software training, helping you troubleshoot. So maybe this is more like business level troubleshooting. So it could be anything from, hey, I have a few accounts I need to get set up with Listing Mirror. Can you help me do that and set up all the billing stuff and set up all the accounts so I can go between them without having to log out. Just one example, that was something I was working on earlier today. Also just creating strategies for, this is how I want to be using Listing Mirror in a year. Can you help me kind of get there, and sort of setting a game plan for getting there? That's something I do with my own team, and it's something I'm happy to help you with as well. And really anything else that you can think of that you aren't sure where to send the question to, you can start with me. And if it's not something that I can answer, or it's not something that I need to answer that I think someone else would be better suited for, I'll just forward that request on to someone else on my team. You can reach me by email, Erin@listingmirror.com. And then we talked about technical support a little bit, but Matt is on that team, and the rest of Raven and Christina and whoever else joins their team in the future. We have a really great crew, and we all work very closely together, like I mentioned. So there are lots of different ways that we support you as a user. It's not just by submitting emails. So I want to make sure that that is clear to you. The best way for you to interact with us is first to try finding the information on your own. So reading through our knowledge base. We are right now undergoing a major renovation of our knowledge base, and just kind of reworking the structure of it, trying to make it much more accessible to you as a user, making it easier to search for things, and making the information just a little bit easier for you to read and things like that. So we're working on that. We're always uploading new articles as well. So always look for documentation. If you aren't finding what you need, then please do submit a ticket or a, I think it's called a request. Yes, it's called a request inside of our support portal. So just go to support.listingmirror.com. That's where you'll access the knowledge base and be able to submit those requests. That's also where you would go to report a bug. So if you're using something and for some reason things just are not working how you would expect them to, or it's very obvious to you that something is just not working, plain not working, maybe there's an error showing or something, and you feel like we should know about it, please let us know. Just submit a request and let us know what's going on. Screenshots are helpful, or anything else that you think may be helpful for us to troubleshoot that. And then also for creating feature requests. So we are always looking for what kind of features you are looking for. So whether that is an improvement to a feature that we have, or if it's just a new feature that you would like to see in Listing Mirror, but you don't currently, those are the kind of things that we want to prioritize building. And so the more often that you can let us know what you're looking for and what would be valuable to your business, the more that we can do to serve your business in that way. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did upload the PDF. So you can grab the handout at any time. It looks like a few people have grabbed it. So that's great. But there is a little bit more information in there that might be helpful to you. So Matt, is there anything else from you before we close out?
Yes, I see one last question from Arthur.
Oh, great.
Once creating the rule after saving, do you run it, or does it save on, or does it run on save? It will not run on save. So if you want it to take effect immediately, yeah, you would create it then run it for sure, because it will not run after you save it.
Clicking save will not run the rule.
Correct. Yep. It'll just save it and it'll lock it in. So down the line, if you create a listing, which is a trigger for the automation of listing or for rules, the rule will apply. Or if it's a pricing rule, it'll apply when we import Amazon price and sync it to another marketplace. But otherwise, no, it will not run upon saving. So if you want to run it,
great.
Click run. Just click it once. I always like to have if I'm using the rule to fill out a specific field or whatever, I will open a listing that has that field blank and have it open on a separate tab. So after I click run rule, I refresh the page, because the rule should run super quick. If it's working proper, it should take half a second to run through all your listings. Maybe 10 seconds at most, but it's real quick. So in instances where you want to confirm, I always just like to have a listing open that has that field blank that I'm trying to fill in. And I just watch it take effect. So I click run, refresh the page, make sure it applied. It did. Then you get assured that it did with all your other listings as well, because I like to be sure.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know. These rules don't take any time to run, because we're not having to communicate with anything else. They're
all
just
eternal,
running
so it's
internally.
very quick.
So it's fast. All right. Well, we're going to end there today. Thank you again for attending today, and thank you, Matt, for coming on and explaining all these things to us.
That's what I'm here for.
And I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.